Where is little Harmony Montgomery? What happened to her? These are questions that have remained unanswered for more than 4 years in Manchester, New Hampshire. But now, at least one of those questions has been answered. This sweet 5-year-old special needs girl was living in a car with her violent career criminal drug addict father, Adam Montgomery, her lying drug-addicted stepmother, Kayla, and 2 younger half-brothers. Harmony was living a very tumultuous life with a man she barely knew. Adam was in prison when Harmony was born, but somehow he got full custody when Harmony's mother missed a court hearing because she was in court in another courthouse for another one of her children. And the judge and the lawyers did not delay the hearing, something that should have been requested by the attorneys and something any judge has the discretion to do. The results of that hearing was a death sentence for Harmony. She was living in a car with 4 other family members, and that shook Harmony to the point that she was having accidents. These accidents resulted in brutal beatings by her father, the last one killing her. Adam Montgomery was convicted beyond any reasonable doubt by a jury and will die in prison. But this story is not over. Harmony has still not been found. Tonight, we speak with the one parent who loved Harmony. Crystal Sorey joins us live for the hour as we continue our investigation into what happened to this little angel. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be an important hour here on Closing Arguments. Harmony Montgomery had a difficult life. We all know that now that we've gotten to know her story to a certain extent. It wasn't easy. Think about it. An abusive killer father. An abusive killer father who was in prison when she was born and some way gets custody. I mean, let's not start down that road because that will drive you crazy. It's inexplicable. It was outrageous, but it actually happened. Not only an abusive killer father, but then an evil stepmother who did nothing to protect this little girl. Zero. Nothing. Lied. Lied some more. Lied again. The only one who was looking for her was her mom, Crystal Sorey. And Crystal struggled with addiction issues, addressed those issues, but lost custody. And then Adam just did whatever he could to avoid any contact with Crystal, keeping Harmony away, and now we know why. Now we know why. So in this case, there was a trial. You saw it here on Court TV. But it was a result of Crystal Sorey making noise and looking for her that Adam Montgomery was questioned, that Adam Montgomery was arrested, and then Adam Montgomery was tried and convicted of the murder. Before we speak with Crystal Sorey tonight, I want to show you some of what happened during this trial that made so many of us sad, angry, and heartbroken all at the same time.
The defendant committed multiple violent crimes against a small child, a helpless child. In December 2019, he assaulted and he murdered because of that rage, his rage. He destroyed Harmony so that he could never be caught.
Adam Montgomery did not cause Harmony's death. Kayla Montgomery was the last person to see Harmony alive and know how Harmony died. But she didn't come clean with Adam. She didn't come clean with the police. And she will not come clean with you.
Did you take her and put her in the ceiling of your room at the fit shelter?
No.
Did you smush her into a CMC bag Like the one I showed you earlier?
No.
Who did those things, Kayla?
Adam Montgomery.
Kayla, I want you to look at these jurors. Kayla, did you kill Harmony?
No, I did not.
Did you beat her to death?
No, I did not.
Were you alone with her when she died?
No, I was not. The more accidents she had, the more he would get angry, and he would hit her repetitively. When he would hit her, she started getting black eyes and bruises on her face, on her legs.
Did you see him put Harmony in that duffel bag?
Yes.
How did he put her in there, Kayla?
He folded her in half and put her in the double bag.
So when you saw her in the kitchen with this black eye, what, if anything, did you say? It's okay, take your time.
Something along the words of, "Oh my God, what did you do, Harmony?"
And who answered that question?
My nephew Adam,
Where was he?
standing right behind her.
And what did Adam say?
She didn't do anything. I bashed her around the house.
She won't get the burial that everyone deserves. She doesn't get a headstone in the ground above the head that he battered. She doesn't get to be at peace in death because of what he did, because he can't afford to tell anyone where she is. He believes Harmony's life and death are a waste of time and that they weren't anything to him, and that he dumped her like trash. This is what you've seen in the evidence. This is what you've heard the defendant say when you consider whether he has an extreme indifference to the value of Harmony's life when he killed her. He had no value for her life when he killed her. He took an innocent life, a child, for no reason other than his rage and his indifference and his ignorance and his lack of humanity. Because this trial is about Harmony Montgomery. And when did you last see Harmony?
April
April of
2019.
April of 2019.
Yeah, right before Easter.
How did you see her?
I was doing a Facebook video call. That's my girl. That's Harmony.
When the two of you were living together, how was Harmony?
Amazing. Rambunctious, very smart. By the time she was 2, she could tell you her whole life story.
She was talkative?
Yes. People didn't believe she was 2.
And joining us as our special guest this hour, Harmony Montgomery's mom, Crystal Sorey. Crystal, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know that you're not feeling 100%, but my guess is that Harmony's giving you a little extra strength to be on with us tonight.
She always does.
Let me start here. And I don't know if you were able to feel it, but I know here, day in and day out, here at Court TV in the newsroom, people were feeling it. When you go out and people talk about the trial to you, we're feeling it. When I read what's happening on social media, you feel it. That people loved that little girl, and they were feeling some pain because of what you went through and what she went through. For those folks who never were blessed to meet little Harmony. What did we all miss?
So much, you know, so much. Oh, she was so funny, you know, and she was so much like me, you know. Hearing that during trial, you know, I said it from the beginning. I said, you know, he did what he did because he couldn't stand that she was more like me and nothing like him. And she loved to sing and dance, and, you know, she really liked to make her friends feel good. And if she saw someone sad, you know, she was wanting to try and make them happy or do something that like to help, you know. Like if she saw people sitting outside, she would automatically say, like, Mommy, they need something to eat, you know, they're hungry, you know. She had a huge heart in such a small body, you know. I just can't, and I mean, I won't ever be able to wrap my head around the pure rage that he had towards her when all she did was be born. That's all she did. She didn't ask to be here. She didn't ask to be born by, you know, 2 addicts or any of that, you know. She deserved so much more. And when, you know, she was here with me and Michelle, she did live a really great life with us, you know. We made sure that she was always happy and had fun and was always doing different things. And, you know, we also tried to get her the help that she needed while she was with us. You know, being in play therapy or, you know, the few services that Michelle had her in. She loved school. She only got to go for 1 year, but she loved it. Barely a year. I think it was only a few months, but she really loved it. As you can tell in the picture with her backpack, and she has her hair in a ponytail, and she has her ABC shirt on. She really was so excited to go to school, and I just feel like he took so many things from her, because obviously he didn't want people to see what he was doing to her. You know, he never brought it. He brought her to 1 urgent care appointment. She never been to the doctors, never school, nothing. It was like she didn't exist to any of like the government in that area. But there's so much about her that isn't said, you know. She was blind in her right eye, but she didn't let that stop her. She didn't let that stop her. And when she was misdiagnosed, like, you know, they said she was going to be special needs. They said, you know, she was going to be developmentally delayed, and she was none of those things. She was none of those things. They were wrong. They were so wrong. You know, when she got around kids, she would, you know, she just would want them to, how do I say it? She would just want them to be happy, like, no matter what it was. Like, if she saw someone angry, she'd be like, well, why are you mad? Can you talk to me? Like,
What child does that? That is amazing.
Yeah, like,
that's
you know,
amazing.
Oh gosh, she was, I would call her an old soul sometimes, you know. I say the same thing about Jameson. They have that in common. They are so much more mature than you ever would think they would be at their age, you know. People really did not believe her age, you know, and now thinking about it's been, you know, 4 years and she would be 9. I just think of all the things that she would be doing right now, how she would be thriving, you know, if she was here with me. So that's really what I think about a lot, is where is she and what she would be like today.
You know, we covered the first trial of Adam Montgomery, and he said something at his sentencing. I want to play that for a moment and then ask you a question about it.
Yep.
I understand that I was found guilty by a jury, and I'm not here to dispute that at all. The only consideration that I ask of you this morning is for you not to consider anything as it relates to the case regarding my daughter Harmony. I did not kill my daughter Harmony, and I look forward to my upcoming trial to refute those offensive claims.
He said he was going to refute it, but we looked in the courtroom every day, and he didn't show up, Crystal. your thoughts about Adam not having the guts to show up and face the charges?
Well, he's shown us all what type of person he is. He's 150% a coward. He only hits women and children because he can't face a man. And he makes sure that if he thinks you're even a tiny, tiny bit afraid of him, he is going to use that, and he was going to do whatever he can to manipulate you or play on your emotions or play little mind games. Like, what goes for me, what I go back to when I think about him saying that is the choice of words. He could have used any word other than offensive. He could have said horrendous. He could have said disgusting, disturbing. He could have used any word, and he chose offensive because it offends him that people know what he did. It offends him that he no longer has control. It offends him that people see him for who he is and not the facade that he makes people believe. So, the way I think about him, he's a coward, and he's not even worth the poop on my shoe, to be honest.
So, this trial obviously had many difficult moments for anyone to watch, let alone Harmony's mother, you. At the moment where it was described by the state's witness, Kayla, what actually happened at the moment that Harmony was taken from this earth when she was murdered by Adam. Were you inside the courtroom for that moment?
So there were 2 days where they did it. I was there for the second day. I wasn't there for the first day. But even still, like, even if I missed a day, I would sit and just watch everything I missed, you know?
So and that's what I was wondering, if you wanted to not hear it, or if it was okay to hear it, so you wanted to know that you wanted to hear what had happened.
There was certain parts where I did get up and walk out, because I know it's different coming from her, but if you think about it, I have heard this and been told this and read affidavit after affidavit, document after document. So this is like literally all I've heard for the last, almost 4 years. So hearing it from her was totally different than reading it on any paper. Especially with the lack of emotion in a lot of things that she said, except for the only thing she cried about was describing what he did with her body, basically. She didn't cry at all when she described him beating her, punching her multiple times and that. She didn't drop a tear one time during that. And I thought that was very strange, very, very strange. If something traumatic like that happened to you, and it happened to a little girl you claim to have loved, you're gonna cry the whole entire time you're speaking, not just when he talked about putting her in the duffel bag.
I agree. I found a lot of folks found a lot of problems with Kayla
Yeah,
Montgomery.
her testimony to me is just very strange, very, very strange to me. She can convince the world that she was afraid.
Yeah.
I do not believe that. I do not believe that. If you were so afraid, you would not have conceived a third child while my daughter was in the vent above your bedroom, above your bed with that man. You would not have conceived a child.
Wow.
And she did, and it happened to be a girl, because that is how God works. And guess what? She don't get to have her daughter either. Ever. She don't get to be around those kids, and you know what? That's the best thing for them.
Let me ask you this.
Because you know what? They have a chance.
Yes, that is important. And I mean, throughout all of this, there's still more children, which is
Harmony was a victim, but so were those two boys.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. This trial that we all watched, do you believe that the truth came out inside that courtroom?
I do. I really do. I feel like there were some things that obviously were left out, but I feel like just the amount of like witnesses they had, and you know, Adam not being in the courtroom, you know, her testimony of like barely having any emotions and whatnot. I think it really had a lot of people in the world that were like had missed things or had some things mixed up, the timeline, and I think it clarified a lot of things for people. And also, you know, they got to see it for exactly what it was, like a nightmare, like a horror movie, like, you know, nothing was sugar-coated, and I feel like Ben, Agati, and Chris, they did incredible.
Oh, they absolutely did.
Incredible.
I mean, and what you're saying is so important to understand the reality of what happened here. I mean, and it's hard to believe that it actually happened, but it did. Crystal Sorey is staying with us the whole hour. This story's not over, folks.